And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 5. Ostensibly game number 3, really, whenever you consider it, given that actually I have the scoreboard wrong. So Dignitas does not lead. I forgot to switch them at the end of last broadcast. Liquid actually has the 2-game lead coming into this. So Liquid looking to close things out in very short fashion if they can get past Dignitas one more time. Dignitas honestly fell behind very early in game number 1, but managed to at least give themselves an opportunity to perhaps play their way back in. Some really good play out of Fogged and out of Sneaking in particular opened that door for them, but Liquid just a little too effective down the stretch. They're drafting a little bit too solid. Once we saw the Dragon Knight in particular come into his own, his ability to just shrug off any kind of physical damage that's given out by the gyrocopter just became too big of a liability, and Liquid able to steamroll to a 40-minute game to win. Now, just one game away from winning this best of 5 series and walking away champions of the inaugural edition of the Curse Invitational. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm AC, joined by nobody, just me and myself, and of course my producer Conrad, who we're trying out some new equipment. Hope you guys are at least getting some pretty decent quality out of everything that we're putting through the ringer here today, and would love to hear feedback. So don't be afraid to let Conrad know it in the chat. Don't be afraid to tweet at me or however else. You can find me on Twitter at AC. And yeah, let me know. Let us know what we can do, because we will be launching D2L Season 3 coming up less than 24 hours from now. Ahead of us today, though, again, game number 2 of this best of 5. I guess you could, and again, I've never really known how exactly I should refer to that. If I should call it game 2 or game 3. I'm going to go with game 2. It's the second game we get to see played today. But Liquid, ready to slam the door on Dignitas. Now, Bad Rider going to be making it through. Dignitas very quick to pick that up. Not sure who's going to be playing it, though. The days of the guaranteed mid Bad Rider really just aren't there that much anymore. Sneaking, very good at the hero, but you will see other players play him, especially if it's Universe. You can get him in a situation where you can go one-on-one, put him in the off lane or run an offensive tri-lane and allow him to have solo safe farm. You can even jungle the Bat fairly effectively. He's one of those heroes who, when he starts out in the jungle, doesn't really start out that quickly, but as he gains steam, he becomes one of the fastest junglers and most cost-efficient junglers in the entire game. So Dignitas, certainly with their options open to them there. Liquid opens up with the Darkseer, looking to put one more hero with them so far. Wisp and Mag not going to be joining us, courtesy of Team Liquid. Clockwork and the Lifestealer banned out by Dignitas. Now, Sneaking played a phenomenal Clockwork in game number 1. He really did. But taking the hero out, probably a good call. Liquid will first pick him for Bulba when they get the chance. They're going to go ahead and grab the Nyx early on. Nyx is one of those heroes that has really just seen his stock rise and fall kind of sporadically over the last couple of months. For the longest time, he was first pick, first ban. Then you saw him slowly get picked more. Then you saw him slide into the second ban phase. And, he just kind of goes up and down. It's really become more of a situational pick. Dignitas going to go ahead and grab Chen, as well as the Rubik. So with the Chen pick out, tells us the Bat's going to probably be in an off lane or a mid lane. Also tells us that Liquid, depending on who they want to pick here, the Lone Druid's still available. Gyrocopter, a hero that's really much enjoyed by TC, plays a really good gyro. They can even go with a TA if they want to put Korok on that, Queen of Pain, etc. There are a lot of heroes that you can see have the ability to deal with a Chen, as well as just not necessarily hard counter a Chen, but just give as much pressure back as Chen is usually known to put on. And Liquid, usually right about now is when they look to get their mid hero. We've seen that in both days. They like to go ahead and usually get a supporting cast plus a mid. If they get a high value pick like a Lifestealer or a Clockwork, they will. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, looking at Dignitas' potential here, they're certainly going to have a ton of push from Chen. Bat Rider, an excellent hero to pair up with the Chen, just because Chen does want to end up pushing towers very early. And one of the problems you run into is pushing with an early game Chen before he gets up a mech. And, usually he'll have Hand of God. I'm not talking like your tier 1s at 4 minutes. But even with those items up, it can be very, very difficult to dive behind the towers to take fights from teams who are able to stop your siege from the safety of their own towers. So Bad Rider is a hero who shores that up admirably. His ability, especially if he has a good start, gets up a quick blink. His ability to just take a fight that way really helps maximize Chen's efficiency and effectiveness early on. But Liquid did decide to round out their front three with the gyrocopter, so they're going to have plenty of damage output. And, at this point, Liquid probably going to look to just get aggressive. That Darkseer can go mid, it can go off lane, it can even go in the jungle if they want. But with the gyro, those are two heroes that can work in an offensive tri-lane very effectively. It just all comes down to what they want to prioritize and what heroes happen to make it through. One of the more interesting things you can do in a lot of cases is run an offensive tri-lane. It's not even interesting, it's just good Dota. Run an offensive tri-lane with a hero, say like a Luna, who might fit in. Don't know that they have anyone that would play her, though. But, with a Luna, Lifestealer, another good example, then just give the gyro solo safe lane farm. And, if they have the ability to do that against a Chen, they might choose to do so because you can put some pressure on a lane that has a Chen in it early if you come out firing very, very quickly. Now, a surprise pick that Liquid has made in the past, I just want to put this out there, to run in an offensive tri-lane is the Ogre Magi. Not saying it's going to happen, just throwing it out there. Liquid is a team that believes that hero can excel in that role with a follow-up stun, like a Leshrac, like a Lina. If they decide to do something creative and build around that, they'll have the Nyx Assassin with Impale as a follow-up stun, for example. They'll be able to put some pressure on and force that Chen out of the jungle more often than he would want, not allow him to get the start that he would really enjoy in most cases. So Shadow Demon, Queen of Pain, and the Keeper of the Light, the three bans out from Dignitas. I'm still surprised to see Keeper making it through to the second ban phase as often as he has over the last couple of weeks. But a hero that nonetheless will not be joining us on the side of Liquid. They actually take out the Luna and the Lone Druid, so looks like they just want to have they want to have the only hero on the board that is a carry and damage dealer in all phases of the game. And that's really what makes Gyro such a great hero. Problem with him is he has to stay on par with items to really be able to transition. He's another peak and valley hero, much like a Tiny. He peaks very early on in terms of his damage output with his raw abilities, but then he valleys out, and what you want to do is try to keep that valley as short as possible, so to speak. Is try to keep that downswing as less of a factor as you possibly can by making sure you have good farm. And just getting up survivability items certainly helps a lot with that. Drums, BKB, then transition into a hard damage item like an MKB, even a Divine Rapier, which we've seen time and time again throughout the entire Dota scene. So, but anyway, still waiting on our last ban out from Team Liquid, and it will be a puck. So getting rid of the mid potential from Dignitas and just basically taking away heroes they feel like sneaking is going to play on. Again, the bad rider pick with the Chen, they could still run him mid very, very easily. But right now, okay, just got the news in. If the Dota TV is not coming in, I'm not really sure what the problem would be, because I'll have to check it once we get into the game. I have my handy dandy little indicator on the side of the monitor, which allows me to see when my voice is going through. But if it's choppy, it shouldn't be choppy for any reason other than just Dota TV. So we'll find out sometime soon. Anyway, back to the pick of the ban. Both teams taking their time, as we can see. But back to Dignitas, they're going to go ahead and grab the Dragon Knight for themselves. And if it works for one team, why wouldn't it work for the other? Dragon Knight, again, just a great counter to any sort of concerted physical damage output or any composition that's really dependent on that, just because of the high bonus armor he happens to have. And we saw just how potent a level 16 Dragon Knight can feel once he has up a BKB to go along with that mass amount of armor that he has built into himself as a hero. He just becomes so hard to cope with. Liquid, once again, going to fourth pick an Enchantress. Fluff, no doubt about it, going to be handling that hero. And we saw, Enchantress is one of those heroes that fell off. It doesn't get played a lot by much of anyone but Liquid, but it's hard to say why sometimes, especially against a Chen, for example. Chen, much more commonly played than Enchantress, and Enchantress is a great counterpick to Chen, being able to take his creeps away from him whenever he decides to push early, being able to use Nature's Attendants to keep your teams alive as they try to weather the storm that is the Chen push potential. Dignitas going to go ahead and grab a Shadow Fiend. So a very similar look to what Liquid showed us in game number 1. They've got damage dealers for just about every stage of the game. They've got pretty, when I look at the way they're going to lane this, though, it's obviously going to have to be a defensive tri-lane. The question is, who do they send where? And so far as mids for Liquid, we're yet to see Korok get a hero, I think. He could end up being on the Darkseer, but I would suspect that given the lineup we see right now, that'll actually be Bulba's hero, and they'll try to pick something for Korok now. In terms of mids that are available, they still have a ton of options. Queen of Pain is gone. Puck is gone. The Magnus obviously banned out as well. They do something like a Skywrath Mage, and they're actually going to go with the Brew. So I was thinking the Skywrath Mage just because of how potent he is with his silence and how devastating that could be to a Bat Rider in particular. But instead, going with the Brewmaster, going with the team that wants to fight early, wants to free up the map, and it's very hard to push into. Brewmaster, very much a hero that I would consider a very potent anchor hero. He can just sit himself under a tower and levels, in the early game and in the mid game. It is so difficult to push into a Brewmaster when he has split up and available. He can just use Clap to help spam waves out. He's also a fairly solid anti-carry with Drunken Haze in conjunction with Drunken Brawler, but really just being able to Drunken Haze a target like a Dragon Knight or a Shadow Fiend can really mitigate their effect on any stage of the game. So, Liquid and Dignitas ready to square off. The lineup set, Korok will be as expected on the Brew, and Darkseer will be played by Bulba. Universe, as anticipated, will be on the Bad Rider. They're going to have Sneaking on Shadow Fiend, so this very well could be a mid-Shadow Fiend. And mid-Shadow Fiend, not the worst thing in the world. And yeah, I can actually see I'm not coming through right now, so I'm going to go ahead and hopefully check. All right, there we go. Hopefully that means everything's going to be better. Not sure why, but we now have video evidence. It was on to begin with, and now it's not coming through again. So we'll have to hopefully shore that up at some point in the near future. I'm going to have my buddy Conrad just check the cable connection, make sure it's in, make sure that the gain knob is as high as it needs to be. And other than that, there we go. There we go. I think we're okay now. I think we're okay. All right. We'll go with that. Looks like just a loose connection, so my apologies very sincerely to the in-game viewers. Hopefully I'm not cutting out now. I think my volume should be A-okay. And I can see that I'm not cutting out at the end of my sentences. Well, was not cutting out at the end of my sentences. Yeah, that would be my bad. The scoreboard reads wrong. So we'll deal with that in the future. As it stands, though, Dignitas down to midnight hour. They have to win or go home. They won't be going home empty-handed in any case, but Liquid just needing one more game to lock this series down and cement their place as the champions of the inaugural edition of the Curse Invitational. Taking a look at the lineups. Chen, going to be played by Way Too Sexy. Going to have Rubik, handled by Fogged. Bad Rider, going to be played by Universe. The Dragon Knight, going to be handled by Owie here in mid. And Sneaking, going to be going one-on-one in the offlane. Actually does have help, obviously, with Fogged, but trying to deal with Bulba for the most part. Going to be very annoying, but he will be able to zone Bulba out once he gets a few stacks in the Necromastery. On the other side of the river, we've got TC playing on our Gyrocopter, the Brewmaster. Going to be handled by Korok. Enchantress, going to be played by Fluff. Darkseer, going to be handled by Bulba. And Nyx Assassin, going to be played by IX Mike. Down here, we can already see a little bit of action. Bulba uses Surge. There's the Telekinesis and the Centaur stun as well. In a bit of trouble. Do they have the right click? A little bit hung up on the Centaur. Got in the way. Oh, the Centaur Conqueror. Cut him off a little bit, and Bulba able to surge himself back up under the tower. So he should be safe and dodging the first blood there. Not a bad way to start if you're Liquid, getting away with a little bit of an overextension. So looking at the way the lanes are shaping up, we're going to have the Bat in the off lane so far. And Fluff's already rotating, already making his way down through mid lane. He's got the Hellbear Smasher and the Wild Wing Ripper along with him. Looks like they want to get something done against Owie. There's the clap. Here comes the Ursa. There's the clap from him as well. The Ripper is there using the Whirlwind. And Fluff able to tank through the damage using Nature's Attendants. Puts first blood on the board. See if he can get the Ripper away. He will be able to make it away. Very good target to have brought down early. And this is why you don't see DKs go mid all that often. We've seen it twice here today. But it is not the most common appearance for that reason exactly. And he didn't even have a point into Dragon's Tail. So what little effectiveness he could have had at trying to retreat was certainly limited. Up at top, they're going to engage on the Universe. So Universe eating a lot of damage. And will be caught out and a return kill delivered. So Liquid off to a very quick start, makes it 2-0. Gets the job done in a hurry. 2 minutes in, 2 kills on the board, and Liquid going to be making life hard for Dignitas. Sneaking is finding his farm at the very least. We'll open our last hits and see. He's up near the top for his team, but unfortunately, not quite as high as that gyrocopter. Last thing in the world you want to give away is a good start to TC on this hero. TC, one of the best gyrocopter players in the West, knows what he's doing, knows how to make things happen as a playmaker as well as a late-game carry, and tends to just show really good judgment. And Gyro is one of those heroes that, for the most part, is a judgment hero. You have to be in the right position. You have to be close if you want to do damage with Rocket Barrage. You have to be far if you really want to get the most out of Flak Cannon just by keeping yourself safe and still being able to do mass AoE physical damage. So it's very much a judgment hero, reading situations. And TC, one of the best in the business when it comes to making the right calls in team fights at any stage of the game. Fluff has now taken up station back in the jungle. He's been joined by Bulba. And, you know, one of the reasons Darkseer remains one of the most consistently popular heroes in the entire game so far as picks and bans is because he can do stuff like this. It's like, okay, I'm not super comfortable up against that tri-lane anymore. It sucks we have to give Sneaking free farm, but I can dip into the jungle and be very, very effective. I can farm very, very efficiently. I can help with pre-runing and such as we see now. Hanging out near the 4-minute rune. And it will be a regen, so spawning it out. And he's going to go ahead and TP right back to bottom. Sneaking is doing quite well. He's actually made up some ground on the other carries. Now at 24, tied with Gyro. The Brewmaster in mid is actually doing really well. So Korok off to a really good start. He's got a bottle as well as his wand on the way to him. It looks like Dignitas going to go ahead and bring the Chen out. Look to go ahead and take a tier 2. Or excuse me, a tier 1. Now, Liquid with 1 TP reaction. That's going to be Mike. Looks like they do want to keep this up as long as they can. Nope, never mind. Nope, yeah, they do. They're going to go for it. Way too caught out. Here comes the TP reaction. Telekinesis there. The Shadow Ray's actually off the mark, and good damage done. Mass reaction from Liquid. There's the enchant on his Sneaking. Spent all of his gold, so not the end of the world for dying. Certainly not the hero you want to have die, though. Now Fogged eating a lot of damage from Korok. Korok still has Split if he wants to use it. Not anymore, but they're not going to need it. Karate Chop from Bulba. Enough to add another kill to the board. Make it 4-0 now. So Liquid not only keeps their tower up just outside of deny range, but they manage to add 2 more kills to the board and might even look to counter push here. Fluff moving into the jungle. He's got the Brew hanging out right near him. Sneaking. Not the biggest deal in the world, but did lose those stacks on his Necromastery. He is, of course, maxing Necromastery plus Shadow Rays. A little bit of miscommunication there between himself and Rubik, by the way. The Telekinesis actually threw him out of the initial Shadow Rays, which could have made a difference. TC, in the meantime, continuing to farm like hell. He sits atop the leaderboard, 35. He's got a set of phase boots and a Wraith Band up. Let's see where he wants to go next. Universe, on the other hand, at least he's got some boots, not running around barefoot. 15 last hits, all things considered. Could be much, much worse. But still, quicker you can get up that Blink Dagger, better off you're going to be. Back to Fluff. Look like he's probably going to work on an urn. If he can get there again. The Nyx Assassin. Relatively barren for the moment, but hey, IX Mike, very, very Spartan kind of a guy. The very least, Sneaking does manage to bring down a tower. And did get the last hit, so he's going to make up a little bit of ground. Looks like he's going to want to rush his treads first. Then the question becomes, how do you build? Do you get a Shadow Blade? Or do you go something much more Luna-esque, much more stable? Something like Drums, BKB. Drums, Yasha, BKB. A very effective way to build the Shadow Fiend as well. Gives you some maneuverability, gives you some move speed, attack speed, so on and so forth. Liquid looks to take a tower of their own at top and will succeed in doing so. And they may just decide to push here and force a reaction. Korok's been level 6. He's actually almost level 8 now. Yeah, they're going to smoke. But he hasn't used Split yet. So if they group as 5, and, you know, early level Split is so devastating. You can usually 1v2 if you're sufficiently far ahead in levels. And Korok gonna spot out Fogged. Fogged tried to duck out. He's gonna use Telekinesis. Stuns out Bulba as well. Korok's going to pursue him out. He knows he has split if there's a big reaction. Very good call here, by the way. I just want to point this out. That would normally be a situation in which you would see Dignitas react in a very big way, but they knew they would be reacting into a Brewmaster split. So instead of getting there and trying to bail him out, they just say, okay, this could potentially get worse. We're already behind, and it's 6-1. Taking a look at the gold, we can see a very familiar sight. Looks about the same as the early game did in Game 1. Nearly 2,500 gold already in favor of Liquid. The experience right around 1,500. So certainly not out of range. But at the same time, not something you want to be coping with right now. And yeah, Fogged is going to be able to catch Korok here. So Korok going to end up dropping, playing a little bit too aggressive down at bottom, a little too reliant on split. Back up at top. Looks like TC's actually going to get lifesteal first. He's already got his Morbid Mask. We'll see. I mean, one would think he would probably want to go ahead and turn that into a Helm of the Dominator, which isn't bad. It's not a bad call at all. But just not what you'll typically see all that often. Taking a look at Bulba. He's got a Ring of Health up. Ring of Regen, I should say. He'll probably be the maker of the mech. But things have stabilized, at least for the moment. Haven't talked a whole lot about Owie. Owie's doing all right. Sitting at 43 last hits. The Brewmaster has been absent from mid, on and off throughout the whole game, and Owie's made the most of it. More importantly, he's made the most of his levels. We can see he's actually on top of the board right now. He, the Brew, and the Gyro. Shadow Fiend's not far behind, so no big level gap like we saw in Game 1. Dignitas in a much more stable position now. And a little bit more movement from Liquid. Fluff's made his way to mid, as has TC. And TC going to go ahead and push now. Look to put some pressure on. Bad Rider still in search of that Blink Dagger. Up, down the bottom, we have a fight. As Fogged going to be eating the majority of the damage. He will be cleaned up. Shadow Fiend better get the hell out quick. There's a surge from Bulba. He's got level 1 Vacuum. And from downtown, Korok threw that out. Catched him with the Drunken Haze. Here comes Waytu, who wandered into the way wrong part of the jungle. And yeah, I heard somewhere that Rocket Barrage with 3 points into it does a lot of damage. Heard that somewhere, not sure where. Pretty sure Waytu can attest to it. Wasn't even max level Rocket Barrage, and you saw how quickly he melted. Tier 1 tower going to be in trouble. Looks like Universe wants to try and counter push as best as he can. However, the Tier 1 at top is full health. And Firefly will be wearing off right now, so only so much damage he can really do. Liquid going to be able to respond before much of anything can be done. But Dignitas as well going to move in that direction. Sneaking makes his way over. And Sneaking has gone with the Aqualung. So again, we'll see what his next big item is going to be. Very important choices. It tends to dictate how aggressive a team can play. Or has to play even. You build a Shadow Blade, you better get something out of it. Shadow Blade's not an item you build just so you can continue to farm for big items. You invest that early gold, you had better make it worth your while. Liquid now. Looking to bring down another Tier 1. Tier 1 mid, the target. Fogged and Owie are there. Heard Nyx go undercover. And Chen, in the meantime, hang on. Mike spotted out, walked right over a sentry. They're going to re-engage off of a cooldowns there. Owie will be caught by it. They're going to pursue Fogged in the meantime, though. And now there's a telekinesis. Actually, Dignitas manages to lasso TC and bring him back. Dragon Tail's there, but the Primal Split in the rock locks down Owie, so they get the Bad Rider. They only lost Nyx so far. There's the Storm aspect, sending Owie aloft. Another rock to follow it up. They're diving hard on Owie right now. And they make it worth their while. Fluff actually going to be netted down by Chen and will be able to turn the corner and make it away by some small miracle. Brewmaster completes his Blink Dagger. And the Bad Rider, as we saw, had just shown his off. As it stands, though, Liquid, despite losing the Nyx Assassin, manages to re-engage and take another big win. Treads are done now on Fluff. The gold we can see getting down to about 5,000. Same story in experience. Very similar. And Dignitas again finds him in this position where map control is shrinking. Just level 6 on Waytu, by the way. 12 minutes in, Chin just being level 6 is not really optimal. Not where he wants to be at all. Level 8 by comparison on Fluff. And Dignitas is going to have to try to make something happen. They have a team that wants to play aggressive, can play aggressive. The Chen and the Bad Rider, though, dictate that they want to be getting work done now. And behind by 5,000 golden experience is not at all where they want to be finding themselves this early on. Back to Owie. Has picked up a set of drums. A very solid and stable approach to building out the Dragon Knight. Again, the question is going to be how he builds afterwards. Way 2 has his buckler up. He's not far away from the headdress, so talking about 1,000 gold until the mech is done for them. Mech already complete for Liquid, though. Bulba has it in tow. Mike broke as a joke, but hey, that's what Mike does. Fluff with the urn. Bassy. Day in, day out. Just how you roll the enchantress when you're IX, Mike. Or excuse me, when you're Fluff. And now they're going to smoke. They're just going to smoke right into the Roche pit. At least check it out. And here we go. Mike going to lead the way. Under cover of Vendetta. He's going to have some targets to find. And they double back, actually. He drops a ward on his way out. Yep, they're going to go straight for Roche. Korok is just going to run his way in. Activates the double damage. And Roche already down pretty quickly. Rocket Barrage does help. I think I ran the math on it once. Rocket Barrage allows you to take a Roshan 10% faster at roughly 20 minutes in. So they're going to be able to sneak one in. And Dignitas right now got to feel their hearts drop. They knew they were behind. They knew they had to make something happen to get things back together. Oh, look at this stack. Hadn't even noticed how massive this stack was from Liquid. This is going to be so much gold going to TC. And he's not even going to take it. They're going to move and just invade the jungle now. Bottling Dignitas up, forcing them onto their heels. And now, perhaps looking to take a fight. Korok's initiation potential with the Blink Dagger, monstrous at this level. The power of Clap's always good, but the power of Split, so good right now. He's almost level 11, too. And yeah, Dignitas knows it. They can't even try to defend right now. If they show their face, Korok, especially right here, given how narrow this is back here, this area right here, no man's land. Korok could catch 3 or 4 with a blink clap, followed by a split. TC calls down, and that's all she wrote. So Dignitas realizing it, knowing, hey, they've got an Aegis even. That's just not an option. And they're going to be continuing to stack this massive ancient stack for a while. And a little counter warding going on. But yeah, 15 and a half minutes in. Again, it's like a replay of game 1, except the sides are switched. Liquid opening up a gigantic lead at this phase of the game. Almost 500 gold a minute they've built in terms of pure lead. Not how much they've earned, how much they've built in terms of pure lead over their opponents. And the experience, roughly the same story. Dignitas going to have to get it back together soon. The problem they have now, though, last game they had a Clockwork that bailed them out a lot. They had a Beastmaster who had some really clutch roars that could reset some of those fights. Without Clockwork to hit hooks and make plays, they're going to have to try to brute force their way back in. Chen is not a playmaking hero in and of himself. Yes, he can do some cool stuff with his creeps. But for the most part, it's just he overwhelms you at certain phases of the game. Then he transitions into a very utilitarian player, or a hero, I should say, with mech, with Hand of God, and whatever other item you want to put on him. But the way this early game is gone, they just have not had a chance to put that through its paces at all. Bad Riders, same story. Bat's a hero who should just feel overwhelming at all stages of the game, but especially early. And we haven't felt that at all. Liquid has just taken that away from Dignitas. Hell, Sneaking's not even level 10 yet. Just hit it. He's got his Ogre Club up on his way to his BKB, so we'll be building survivability before damage. Right call to make, I believe. Gem up on Mike, so they're going to be able to just strangle Dignitas out even more than before. And really, like, Dignitas is going to have to fight soon. If Liquid just groups his 5 and pushes, they're going to have to try to fight. Didn't see what he just got. I heard Rubik steal something. Looks like he got Flak Cannon, actually. Yep. But as it stands, Liquid taking yet another tower. All 3 tier 1s down on their side. This is going to make it only 1 remaining tier 2 on the side of Dignitas. And just patiently, ever so patiently, they back out. Looks like they've got about another 2 minutes on their Aegis if they want to get something done with it. And they may just push mid. Let Bulba shove this lane out. They're going to take... Oh, this is devastating if you're Dignitas. And this is just one of those awful things that happens when you lose map control this badly. You know, you were banking on an ancient stack to be a nice infusion of gold. Instead, Liquid takes it from them because they just are in the dark. I mean, just look at the warding. Look at these wards from Liquid. They just can't go anywhere safely. And hang on, there's going to be a blink clap. Owie's going to be the target. He's going to eat the rock. Follow-up. Going to bring Owie down. Here comes Fogged. And, yep, he's going to be cleaned up basically for free. Clutch kill. And now the tier 2 mid will be brought down. Switching to the net worth tab, we can see the top 3, once again, all belong to Liquid. Just utterly dominating in Game 1 and now in Game 2. Oh, looks like Bulb actually managed to get himself a kill, and yeah, we're going to see a couple cleaned up over here. 15-3. 19 minutes in, 18 kills on the board, and damn near all of them belong to Team Liquid. They have just been in control of this game and this series from the word go. 10,000 gold separating the 2 teams. About to get even bigger as TC takes his own ancient stack this time around. And the experience up in that, 5-figure range as well. TC with that lifesteal to rely on, going to be able to do this without a whole lot of concern. You know, when you look at Dignitas, and this is just the problem with drafting the way they drafted, Shadow Fiend in particular is a very greedy hero. He's a hero that can just be an absolute monster if he gets away with free farming, if he doesn't die a lot, if he doesn't lose map control. They picked the Shadow Fiend and wanted to play greedy, wanted to use way too sexy on Shen and their lineup to try and free map space up for him. But unfortunately, that greed just punished so efficiently by Liquid, knowing that the Shadow Fiend is going to be a liability for Dignitas, taking away map control, bringing down every single outer tier tower before 20 minutes in. And Dignitas on 8, they're going fishing here, but they're yet to reel anything in. Sentry Ward goes down, and Liquid, either through good sense or good luck, oh, actually they managed to get the courier down here, so they know the jig's up, but at the very least, Dignitas doesn't waste the smoke. They managed to grab the courier. And here we go. They're going to go for it. They see Mike. And there's the bait. Now they're going to go. BKBs are popped. There's the Vol. And Korok doing what he can. Mass damage coming out. Way too sitting in the back. Good vacuum. Brought them all in. And that'll be all she wrote. The GGs come out. Liquid baited that masterfully. Baited it beautifully with the Nyx Assassin. Dignitas committed and got cleaned up. 21 minutes, all the time it took to provoke the second and final GG. Dignitas finishes second here at the Curse Invitational. Team Liquid, their North American counterparts, are going to be walking away with our inaugural trophy for the Curse Invitational. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of the broadcast here today. Want to thank Curse and, of course, Alienware for making all of this happen. Hopefully, the Rubik will leave sometime very soon. So we're waiting for the Ancient to blow. And hopefully everything went a little smoother this game. Hopefully the in-game audio was a little bit dressed up. And hopefully the quality on the stream was okay-ish. There we go. Our Rubik has finally left. But once again, folks, an absolute blast. And, really want to thank Curse in particular. Curse getting into Dota 2 for the first time in a while. They did a couple of show matches a while back, but really hadn't wetted their whistle in Dota 2 up until recently. But now, with the conclusion of the Curse Invitational, Liquid walks away, our first place finishers in a commanding performance, 20-3. The final kill score, 22 minutes and 2 seconds. All the time it took. Dignitas not going away empty-handed. They'll walk away in second place. But in the end, oh, and Roxkiss, by the way, I should say, they're walking away in third place. So go Roxkiss. Third place in 2 tournaments, right? But anyway, congratulations to Team Liquid, and a heartfelt thanks to Dignitas for giving us a very fun series, not just today, but yesterday when these 2 teams squared off for the first time as